All right, how are we doing today, guys? Welcome to the next segment of the Next Evolution Athletics Q&A series. Today I have with us Josh Windley, cap of the men's Dinos rugby team. How are we doing, buddy?
I'm good, buddy. How are you?
Oh, another day living the quarantine dream, man. Just hanging out in my office, talking to
Yeah,
you.
living the life, buddy. Living the
Living the
life.
life, yeah. So what's all new, man? How you been? Just chilling?
Uh, just chilling. Getting a hold of online school now. Semester started four, 4 or 5 days ago, something like that. I don't even know anymore. But
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I
Like
mean,
this
that's
one.
how it is nowadays. But
Yeah.
yeah, just playing around with my courses, really. Just trying to figure out my schedule and everything. So it's been
Yeah.
good. It's nice to get back into it.
A
So.
routine.
Yeah, somewhat routine. I mean, I'll be honest, I was pretty lazy throughout the break. Like took a nice break and got my head back together and
Well, I think
back
a
in
lot
it
of people
now.
did the
So
same thing, man. Like it's been a pretty wild
yeah,
year, so I think everyone kind of was like, I need a minute. Like you were definitely not the only person that said that. Hell, even I took a break. Like I was chilling out for me.
yeah,
Cool. So,
yeah. I mean, you have to.
oh yeah, absolutely. So, we'll kind of dive right into it, man. I just wanted to kind of let people know, like, say your background in rugby, how you got into it, and everything like that, and then
Yeah,
some other stuff. So, why don't you tell us a bit about yourself on that end?
for sure. So funny story. I don't know if a lot of people know this, but I actually never played rugby until I came to university. So I was a big hockey player my whole life pretty much. I wasn't even thinking about school really when I was playing junior. I was just like, I'm gonna play junior. I'm gonna get a scholarship to a school somewhere. I don't care where, and I'm just gonna go play hockey there because hockey was my passion back in the day.
Mhm.
Um, sure enough, I mean, junior hockey, it's more of a business at that point. So, players are kind of just treated like meat, like they're not treated like people. So
Yep.
I was traded 2 times within basically a season and a half.
Oof.
And at that point, I was kind of just like I don't know if this is for me anymore. Like getting traded was not what I expected because I mean, you get settled in a place, you're with your billets, you're with your team, you bond with them for months at a time, and then all of a sudden you get called in the coach's office and you're yeah, pretty much what happened to me. I got traded to a team in Saskatchewan my last season around October. I was playing in Sycamoose, BC at the time, and yeah, so they called me in. They told me that like we just traded your rights to a team in Saskatchewan. They're gonna pay for everything if you go. No billet fees, no team fees. You don't have to pay for flights, all this stuff. They were just basically giving me everything. And at that point, I was just like, I don't know if I can do this anymore. Like, just junior hockey has taken so much out of me. I don't know if I can do this anymore. So I decided I was going to go to school. Um, I applied for school for the following fall semester. This is in October. So I was planning to go next September. This is in like 2017, I believe it was. And for some reason, when I applied for the fall semester, they accepted me for the winter semester. So I had a month to basically get my shit together and get ready to go to university.
Yeah, it's not much time.
Yeah. So basically, all that happened, and I came to U of C um, in January of 2018, I guess it was, which was kind of weird for me because I mean, I missed O week, I missed like all the introduction stuff to the university that happens in first semester. So I didn't really have a whole lot of friends at the time, which is like a huge change for me because like I played on team sports my whole life. I always had like 25 really, really close friends, um, like at all times basically. So um, when I came to university, I was like, okay, I kind of miss that team atmosphere. I want to do it again. So I saw a flyer that was it was promoting the rowing team. That's what it was. So I was like, you know what, rowing, like those guys are pretty crazy athletes. Like I'm gonna give it a try. So I rowed for the rest of that semester. It was all right. I mean, in rowing, you don't really have practices. You have workouts. It's like your
The training
practices
sessions
go.
where you reviews yourself.
Yeah, literally. It's like your practice today is go row a 10K as fast as you can. And it's just like you know,
Cool.
yeah, so it's like awesome. Can't wait. So I lasted my first semester rowing, and I came back to school the next fall. I was still on the rowing team, but you know, at the time after doing a first semester, I was like, I don't know if this is for me. Like I do love the people on the team. It's nice to have friends now, but I just like I'm not enjoying this as much as I thought I would. And Ryan Littlewood, the previous captain, he was one of my good friends at the time, one of my first friends at UFC actually. And I was telling him about my issues with rowing. He's like, honestly, man, why don't you come try rugby? Like I've been playing rugby. This is my, I think he was in his second year now. This is a year after his rookie year, I believe. So he's like, just come try it out. Like you don't have to make top team necessarily right away. Just come try it out and see how you like it. So I basically, this is in this is like October as well. So this is halfway through our normal 15 season, or like even close to the end. And I went to the practice, and like immediately they're just like the most welcoming guys that I've ever even met before. It's just something about that team atmosphere was like completely different than something I had ever experienced before, which is crazy to me. So I didn't really end up playing any 15s games because I kind of joined the team like
Midway.
basically basically at the end of the 15 season. And so yeah, I never really got any 15s games in, which is fine because I mean I was still like learning the rules of the game, even like, realizing that I
You
suck.
can't throw the ball forward. What?
Yeah, pretty much. I remember my first practice, Brian was just like, okay, this is how you pass a ball. And I was like, wow, like this is actually what it's come
Oh,
to. Like I have to learn. Yeah. I was like, wait a second. You have to pass it like this. But yeah, so basically I didn't really play any 15s, but I was really, really enjoying the training and everything. And like the practices were a lot more fun than rowing, and just the sport in general. Like I enjoyed a lot more. Um, so basically we trained, I kept training, and then we finally had our sevens season come up. And like I didn't even know much about sevens obviously at the time. But we had our Moose Jaw Sevens tournament, which we put two or three teams in. So basically everybody got to play. And I remember I remember my first game, like still not even knowing all the rules or anything really, or like completely what was going on. I was just like, and Ray started me on some team, like it wasn't the top team obviously, but I started, I was just like, holy shit. Like I
I
was
was
looking
that
around.
way fast. Okay.
Yeah. I was like, just threw me to the sharks. I was like, okay, let's go, let's get after it, I guess. But yeah, the tournament actually went really well. I ended up scoring a try like my second game or something. I was like, holy shit, what's going on right now? But
And now I'm hooked.
yeah, and basically ever since then, I've fallen in love with it. I remember after that first tournament, Mitch, who was the previous captain before Ryan, he sat beside me on the bus ride home. He's like, "Was that like your first time playing rugby?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, he gave me a pat on the back. He's like, you did good. Keep it up." And like
Yeah.
ever since there, it was just fell in love with it really.
Yeah. I keep telling people rugby is such a different sport than other sports, like,
Totally.
especially the same things like hockey and football, like, where they're
Hmm.
big contact team sports, but rugby is just something different, and it's really
Yeah.
you can't really explain it to anybody until you've been in that kinda circle, and you're like, "Yeah, this isn't the same." Like,
Yeah. It is a completely different atmosphere for sure.
what do
And
you think the biggest
yeah.
difference is between, like, say, being involved in, like, hockey, rowing, and rugby? What do you think the biggest differences between those 3 sports that you've noticed?
So,
That's a pretty because you gotta understand, that's a pretty, wide view, like, I've seen hockey and rugby, I've seen football and rugby, but you don't have to
yeah.
see hockey, rowing, and rugby, so what do you
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, totally. Um so I mean,
Obviously, the training's
hockey,
different, but
yeah, for hockey in itself, I mean, it's kind of known to have a certain ego with it, I guess. Like hockey players, no way. Yeah, I mean, like everywhere, every camp I went to, every team I tried out for, everything, there's also always an ego that kind of came with it. Hey buddy. um but when I came to rugby, it wasn't like that at all. Like the respect was very mutual, everybody was on the same level kind of thing. And like the thing that blew my mind the most was how you can actually sit down with the other team after you beat the shit out of each other and have a beer. Like when I saw that for the first time, I was like, this is crazy.
Like
Like
we're
I
ready
have
to fight,
never
man. Like
experienced anything. Yeah, like I mean, hockey after games, like you're talking trash to each other. You're like, "Oh, I'll see you next weekend." Like it's very like aggressive in that sense. But with rugby, like you gain good friends from playing each other. You know what I mean? Like you play against each other so much, you literally become friends on and off. Well, not on the field, but off the field afterwards.
yeah,
And that just like completely blew my mind because I've never experienced anything like that before in my life with any sport, really.
yeah. It's really weird because even my first like when I played way back, it was the same thing. In
Mm-hmm.
high school where you walked off the field and everyone was buddies. And we're in
Yeah,
like small town and everyone hates each other in a small town, but for some reason,
yeah,
like it's always that small town versus the other small town mentality. But for some
yeah,
reason on the pitch, it was we had that animosity, but step off the field, everything was fine. It's like that
yeah.
weird kind of thing that just happens in rugby, and it's so you can't really
It's
explain it to other
different
people because
for
maybe at the
sure.
professional level where you're like guys are playing in the hot like in the NHL and the
Yeah,
NFL where they're like, yeah, this is my job. I'm just here to burn you, and you're here to stop me from burning you and move on
yeah,
kind of thing. But
yeah, totally.
like even in the lower ranks of like the sport itself, like say football and rugby, I was football and
Yeah,
hockey. That animosity doesn't leave.
yeah, totally.
But
It's
in rugby, it doesn't even exist. It's just on the
yeah,
pitch and it's just done. It moves on.
yeah. It's crazy. Like you see guys after games at high levels switching jerseys and stuff, and like have like sharing a beer each other on the field. Like that kind of stuff just blew my mind. I was like, this sport is completely different than anything I've ever experienced. But like, I want to buy into this and I want to be a part of it. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? It was very eye opening for me for sure.
Yeah, that rugby culture is something that's it's really in my opinion, it's one of those like premier team cultures.
Yeah,
The
for sure.
competitiveness is there, the work ethic is there, the relying on other your teammates and stuff like that. And then weird thing is that weird friendship that you get from being on the pitch, even if the guy's on the opposite side of you.
Yeah, totally.
Like, oh, I'm going to
Definitely,
step on your
100%.
hands later in the middle of the scrum. It's fine. Don't worry. But it's like, yeah, I know. We'll have a beer afterwards. We'll talk about it. It's cool.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. It's weird. It's so weird that way. But yeah, I mean, it's awesome. I love it.
yeah. And it's always interesting to see like the different aspects of this stuff because you can talk about it, but hearing it from the actual players, like it's really cool
Yeah,
to see after all of these years. Like I haven't been on a pitch in 20 years.
yeah,
It's still cool to see it keep going. Like it's not like it was a one-off thing back when I did it. It's just this is how.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Speaking of
It's awesome.
culture, you guys as a team have probably one of the best team cultures I've ever worked with. Okay, and like I talked a little bit before about this, and I've talked to Ray about this. Like you guys spent a lot of time developing that culture and really creating it, and you were part of it as well. So where do you think the culture is going to go now? I mean, 2020 was pretty wild. We haven't been able on pitch together. It's been really
Yeah.
difficult to create that community environment. So, you as a cap, how are you trying to foster that culture and keep it growing for the younger guys that come through after you?
Totally. So yeah, obviously, I mean, it's gonna be. I mean, fingers crossed that we have a season next fall. But there's been there's been a lot of effort and work put in from past players, past coaches, and everything to make the team what it is today. Um, sorry, I'm just drawing a blank.
Yeah,
Yeah. So basically, I mean, coming off the season we didn't really have one, but going into next year, I mean, it's going to take myself, including other returning players, to bring back what we built before, and just show the rookies like this is what we're here to do. This is what you have to buy into. This is our goals, and we are a very um, we're a very good competitive team as well as a very good team off the field as well.
yeah,
Like we do lots of social events where we bond with each other. That's how our brothership gets tighter.
yeah,
um off the field, we hang out a lot during school. Like our main spot at school, I know Ryan mentioned this, but our main spot at school is Brew and Blends.
Mhm.
So at any point in the day, you could be like, I'm going to go to brew in 5 minutes. Is anyone there? And like, we'll like, you'll go to brew and there'll be half a brew taken up by just rugby players. So
Yeah,
yeah, and like that's the kind of stuff that I miss about school for sure. It's just social aspect of it and being able to see the guys every single day. Because that all plays a part to our performance on the field as well.
absolutely.
Yeah. So I mean, it's going to take obviously more than just one guy to bring back what we've built before the pandemic happened. But we have a good core group of guys. We have a lot of good rookies coming in, and it's just going to take everybody to basically dial in onto the same page and reach our goal next year of going to nationals.
Yeah. That's one thing I noticed with you guys when I started working with you is that right away you guys were really, really good. Like I'm talking exceptional at getting everyone on the same page so fast.
Yeah,
And that doesn't happen. Like you gotta remember, you guys have a squad of 70, 75 guys.
yeah. There's a
Like
lot of us.
that's a large ass squad to get everyone on the same page like that.
Yeah,
Like there wasn't much ego, and it was and for me it's really interesting as a strength conditioning coach because um, I've worked with other athletes and other teams, and sometimes it takes me shit, man. Sometimes it takes me weeks to get someone to say, "Oh,
yeah,
you want me to eat breakfast every day?" Like something
yeah,
stupid like that, or "Oh,
yeah,
yeah, I have to actually show up for training to get better at." And you guys like, "Nah, man, we train. This is how it is. If you don't like training, that's cool, but you won't be on the black squad, or you won't even make the red
yeah,
squad. That's fine." It's just
yeah,
you really and no, there's no ego of it. It's just like this is what
yeah,
everyone's like, oh,
yeah,
what they do.
yeah. Definitely. I mean, yeah, for sure. There's a lot of competitiveness within the team as well. Since we do have 3 teams. I mean, if you want to come join the team and be a social player and just be there just to have fun, like see the boys and just have a good time off the field as well, then I mean, so be it. That's part of it as well. You know what I mean? But there are only 23 spots on the black squad, and they are very competitive in every position. So if
Yeah. And
it,
deep, like deep.
yeah, exactly,
Like your
very
red
deep. So
squad
that
could almost most of them just walk into the black squad position if that person wasn't there.
yeah, definitely. I mean, depth is huge for us, especially with having a roster of 70 guys. I mean, if one guy, Ray always says, if one guy's like the roster can change every single weekend. The way we normally do it is he'll announce the roster some way in the middle of the week for the weekend, and that roster could be completely different for the next weekend. So your
Yeah.
spot is never solidified. Like you gotta bust your ass every single time,
Yeah. And that's
which
and
is
that's a good way
yeah,
to do it because it forces the guys that are trying to get a spot to stay competitive if they want that spot. It
definitely,
also forces the guys that have the spot not to get complacent and say, "Oh, it's my spot."
definitely,
Because I've seen that happen
definitely.
before. Like, "Oh, I'm first string D, so I'm just gonna
Yeah, and then they let
float."
off the gas a little bit.
You're first
Yeah,
string D, you don't get to float.
yeah, yeah. I know that doesn't really doesn't
Doesn't
really
happen.
work around with us. Yeah,
Well, it also works in case, like, like rugby is a relatively high injury sport with like shoulders and
definitely.
ankles and stuff like that. We didn't have many issues like last season. I think we had like
Yeah.
a few concussions, like maybe
Hmm.
three, and then
Yeah.
a couple hamstring things. But even that, like two of them are pre-existing. I think we had three.
Yeah.
So there's
Something
something
like
like
that.
that. But even if you have like say like it's not like I remember playing in tournaments where you start the tournament with like 23 guys and there'll be like 14 guys finished 2 days
Yeah.
later and you've gone through 12 or 14 other guys in rotation.
Yeah.
You almost need
Yeah.
like 50 guys to put a team on in a tournament. And you guys
Yeah.
played roughly the same, what, 20, 27 guys, 30 guys for tournaments.
Yeah.
And that's pretty
Yeah.
challenging to do.
Definitely. Especially when we travel out of town and stuff like that, because we can travel out of town, especially for sevens, and have 5, 6 games in a weekend. That's going to take more than just 23 guys for sure. For 15s, especially when we go to Regina, we're playing 3 games that weekend for 15s. Like 3 games is going to take a lot out of some guys for sure.
Oh,
So
yeah.
depth is a huge thing that we take pride in for sure.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So,
Yeah.
knowing that, where do you want to see? Where do you want to lead the team in? What changes do you want to make going forward? Like again, we've had a weird ass year, cap for a
Very weird.
year, in a year that's almost like it didn't happen, but it did. And now you're
Yeah.
going into a season. You're most likely going to have a 15s next year. So where do you want to lead the team going into next year?
Yeah. So Ryan um left with like his legacy was like he built our team culture. He helped it for sure. And I just want to carry that on and improve it even as much as I can. Um
It's a hard
sorry.
question, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a hard question. um I mean, for me, because we trained in two cohorts this semester, so with that being said, I only know the guys in my cohort really, like including the rookies. Like there's some guys in the other cohort that I've introduced myself, but I barely even know the guy.
Yeah.
So I think my biggest challenge personally going into next year is just to bring everybody from 2, 3 cohorts and just like combine us all into one.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing with that is we're all going to have a collective goal of making nationals next year because we have an opportunity that we've never had before.
Yeah.
And like our key to success next year is going to be everyone has to realize that we have an opportunity at hand and like we cannot mess it up. We have to be on the same page every training. We have to be on the same page on and off the field, and we just have to have a common goal, which is going to Queens next year in November.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's going to take more than just me to do that. It's going to take a lot of the returning players as well to create that culture, that cohesion of all of us again with all the new guys and everything after the season we just had. But it's going to be a process, but I think it's very attainable. I think that not like I don't think it's going to be too weird going back to normal if that happens.
Yeah.
I think we're very capable of doing it, but um yeah, we're just gonna have to realize that like we have an opportunity here and we cannot let it up.
Oh yeah, it's a pretty cool, like for a lot of people that don't really realize the entire, I guess, conference system could change from the prairies and the
Yeah,
West Coast. So like
yeah,
before you
totally.
guys had to play number one, two, and three in the country just to
Yeah,
qualify for nationals. And which I've
yeah.
watched, because I have friends back east that have seen videos of you guys playing. They're like, why aren't you guys out here? And I'm like, well, we only play one, two, and three in the country. And
Yeah.
they're a club team playing university teams. So
Yeah.
there's that. And then they're like, well, you guys would kick my team's ass. And I'm like, probably.
Yeah. Yeah, it's frustrating because we've only kind of like we've tested our abilities against obviously everybody in the prairies, and then we've only played 1 through 2 seeds basically in the country. So like
Yeah.
we're curious to see where we match up against other schools like Queens, Laval, like Ottawa, like those teams
Yeah.
out east.
Really
Basically,
good
we just want to
schools with
see.
really good
Yeah,
programs, but you don't know until you start playing.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So I mean, considering that next year is my last year, like that is my main goal. Ever since they made the announcement, that's all I've set my mind on is I want to go out east next November, and I want to see where we compare. And
Yeah.
I just want to, yeah, I just that is the main goal for all of us, and I hope we achieve it for
Yeah.
sure.
It's a pretty cool thing. And like I said, if any team that has the culture to do it, I think you guys uh,
Definitely,
do have that culture, that whole kind of like headspace to do it. Like, and I'm going to say right now, it's not going to be easy.
no,
Dear
no,
God. Like there's some
definitely not.
solid teams in the West. I mean, it's Prairie Conference. There's some solid teams, and a lot of the guys were
Yeah,
recruiting and training hard, and no one's special. Like everyone's doing the
yeah,
same thing. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
definitely,
I'm really happy you guys get that opportunity because I think that's super important for your growth as a team because
for
it's
sure.
it's it is a pretty daunting task. Like when I first got on the team with you guys, like I sat down with Ray and I was like, what do you guys like want to consider successful? And we went down a whole list of stuff that we wanted to accomplish. And we got a lot of stuff. And there's some
Yeah,
stuff we missed out of, but like I think one of the goals was to close the gap between you guys and
UBC and UVic
UBCO.
probably.
Maybe UBC. No, it wasn't UBCO. It was UVic.
UVic, yeah.
Yeah, and I think you guys scored a try on them, which was I think,
Uh,
or was that UBC?
two.
Two?
No, we played Vic last year and we scored two or three tries. I think it was two,
Yeah.
which was actually more than anybody else had scored on them in at nationals.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
So, and that
it
was one
is.
of the things, like closing the gap. Now, did we close the gap? I can't remember. I can't remember exactly the score, but I do remember that Ray's like, we've never scored a try on these guys before, let
Yeah,
alone one or two. So
yeah,
little things like that that really show the forward progress of the team and the effort you guys are willing to do. Because once you draw blood, you know they can bleed. Not
definitely.
immortal at that
Yeah,
point. Like, oh.
yeah, yeah, definitely, hundred
Don't get me
percent.
wrong, they're still an awesome program. Like that is a
Very
very,
good.
very hard program to get.
They are a very good program. Kudos to them,
Yeah.
honestly. But
Yeah. So no, I think you guys, in my opinion, are doing everything, especially everything possible right now,
yeah,
to continue that forward momentum and progress. Like I think it's
yeah,
still, it's not easy to do in any kind of situation, but it's definitely not easy this year and the last year and going into this year. It's just not easy at all. So
yeah.
bang on job, man. Like that's not easy.
Thanks, but yeah, you've definitely played a big part in that as well. I mean, when the pandemic first happened, we were doing online workouts every single day. We were doing we were on programs and stuff that other teams probably weren't even thinking of. And that just shows the depth of our team. It shows how committed our strength and conditioning coaches, how committed the guys on the team are, and just how much this means to us and how much we want to work for it.
Yeah,
So
it was
just
it's pretty fun. Like you guys, like
yeah.
you make something from nothing. I mean, we had a lot of book bag workouts. Oh my god, the book
You were very creative for sure. Very, very creative for
I'm
sure.
nothing if not creative.
Yeah.
Which brings
Very
us to the next segment. So I went behind your back because that's the kind of cat I am.
creative.
And I got the boys to send me in some questions for a hot seat.
Oh man. Oh God. Okay. What did the boys have to say?
Well, I'll ease you into it. I'll give you the longer answer ones first. Let me just pull them up here.
Okay.
So I'll be honest, I got two from Littlewood.
Of course.
So first one, how has it been following him as captain?
It's been good. I mean, he 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 left the team he left the team in a good place, and that, like, obviously I've had a couple weird seasons obviously, but the brotherhood and the culture that he helped improve in the two seasons ago has definitely carried over into the team culture now, even though most of it is online. um I do don't tell him this, but I do look up to Ryan as a role model, and I yeah, don't tell him that though. He doesn't need to know
I'll
that.
edit that part out.
Yeah, just edit that part out. But yeah, I do look up to how he did a lot of things within the team, and I do try to do them as good, if not better. It's my job, so
Mostly better, though, right?
mostly better,
Yeah,
of course. But
good for him.
yeah,
All right, and the second one was, how is it being a captain as a back in a team that's been forward dominant for a while?
that was. I mean, it has been a little bit weird. I haven't gone the full experience of it yet. Um, I basically just got a 7th season with it, but when the ref turns to me and asks, "Do you want a scrum or do you want to kick for a lineout or something?" I'm just like, like I've never had to answer that before. I
The boys
normally
are
the
screaming
forward,
scrum.
yeah, no, normally the boys know better on the that part of things, but it is a learning process for me at the same time. So hopefully I can get in a club season this summer playing rugby and just
Knock some of the rust
like
off.
yeah, exactly, and then we can just hop right back into it in the fall. But it has been a privilege. I'm very happy to be one of the captains that are back. Yeah, so it's been good.
That's not a common thing for you guys, that's for sure.
No, it really isn't. It like it really isn't. But learning curve, and I'm enjoying every step of the way for sure.
Okay. All right, now we'll get into the fun stuff.
Oh
There's a
man.
couple here that are priceless.
Yeah. I can imagine.
All right. So beach or mountains?
Beach
Okay.
for sure.
Morning or night?
Night, night
Night.
for sure.
Okay. Favorite childhood memory?
Winning playoffs in my last year of hockey in 2015.
All right. What's your most memorable rugby moment?
Probably beating UBCO last year in the final minutes
That was
to win
pretty
the Henson Cup. That will always, yeah, that'll always play a big memory for me.
That's a good one. Most embarrassing rugby moment?
Most embarrassing?
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't really had a whole lot. I mean, it's kind of embarrassing, it's just something you don't really see every day. But in that UBCO game,
Mhm.
we had already won the game off the try basically, but I had a kick that was on the sideline, and when I kicked it, it barely made it over. For some reason, I don't know. I didn't play the full game. I was pretty cold to begin with. That's my excuse at least. But I kicked it. It barely made it over, and it also banked off of one of the posts and went in, which is not something you see in rugby very often.
Not often, no.
So
But you had a
I was,
hard angle from what I remember.
yeah, it was right on the sideline on the right side, and then I kicked with my right foot, so it was already a weird angle. But
Yeah.
I mean, that one for sure is a little bit weird and embarrassing.
It's like, well, I got it, so
Yeah, I mean, they don't ask how you do it, just if it went in or not, I guess.
Yeah. Next one. How long do you expect to last if you keep getting laid out?
I I could definitely survive a couple more seasons of 8-man picking for sure, but we'll see. We'll see what happens.
All right. Who kicks better, you or your girlfriend?
Girlfriend for sure.
Yeah. There's a lot of levels to that one,
Yeah,
and you better
yeah.
answer one way.
Who do you think taught me how to kick?
All right. Total war zone wins most kills in a game. Big
Oh
one.
my god. Who even asked this question? Is it all anonymous?
That one up.
I
They
don't
want to
know.
tell you they can.
250 something dubs and 31 kills or something like that. I don't know.
Jesus Christ, man. You got too much time on your hands.
We're in a pandemic, Barrett.
What do you do, man? I don't know, get a degree maybe?
Yeah, something like that. I don't know.
Now, this is the most important one.
Okay.
What's it like living in the shadow of your brother, Taylor Lautner?
Yeah, that was a big inspiration for me back in the day. Yeah, his Twilight movies were great.
Yeah.
Great acting from the guy. But
Yeah.
I really like his hair. He's got some good hair.
Yeah. You kind of have a feeling what Liam Hemsworth feels like nowadays, eh?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's tough, but it's a burden I have to live with. So, yeah.
That was the hot seat, buddy.
Oh my gosh, the boys.
The Taylor
Leave it
Lautner
to
one I was
them.
laughing about for about 3 days now.
Yeah,
2 or 3
they
days.
let me hear that one. They let me hear it for sure.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Other than that, buddy, I know you got a lot of Warzone to get to, so I won't hold you up.
School first. School first.
The School of Warzone, I get it. Pod. All right. But yeah, we'll leave it at that. And I'm sure we'll do this again sometime. I mean, we got a
For
year.
sure. Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me, Bear. I really appreciate it.
Hey, no problem. Thanks for coming on. I appreciate it too, man. And
Of course.
that was Josh Windley, cap of the Dinos men's rugby. If you have any questions or comments or like it, cool. Subscribe. Other than that, stay classy. I'll catch you later. Let's just do that.